morning class. I know the school lunch is trash, but FYI, today we'll be having chicken nuggets and fries. All right, and in honor of Christopher Columbus, because Columbus Day is coming up, we will be learning about him today.
In honor?
Sorry, what was that?
Nothing.
So anyway, Christopher Columbus is a historical figure in American history that we celebrate each year with a day off. Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
Wait, where exactly did he sail?
To America, of course.
Actually, he only sailed to Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Cuba.
Well, since you know everything, Timmy, would you like to tell the story of Christopher Columbus to the class?
I'd love to tell the real story of Christopher Columbus, Mrs. Flanny.
Okay then, Timmy, you can tell the real story to the class.
So, it was the year of 1492 that Christopher Columbus embarked on a journey benefiting no one but himself.
But he braved a treacherous journey across the Atlantic. He used math and his skills to make the long journey.
Emma, get off your phone!
Actually, he embarked on a journey that brought him to the Caribbean, but he was trying to reach India, which clearly means that his mathematical calculations weren't as accurate as you would believe.
If his mathematics were so off, then why did the Spaniard, king and queen, send him on this expedition?
Well, you see, they didn't even want to send him out on this expedition because they thought it was unrealistic. But they did anyway because they were so hooked on spices, and Columbus had promised them a trade route.
Okay, so maybe his mathematics weren't the best, but he still did discover the very land that I'm standing on right now.
That's where you're wrong. He never set foot on American soil at all. He only reached the countries that I had mentioned before, and even then he didn't discover any of those places because they were already occupied by the Taino people. Speaking of the Taino, they were so humble and willing to share their land with Columbus, but when he began asking them for gold and they had no idea what he was talking about, he went back to his country enraged that they didn't know about gold, and then came back with 1,200 men on 17 ships and slaughtered all of them.
But why would Columbus be asking for gold if he was in a place where gold wasn't even available? See, that's where your story doesn't make sense.
I know this one. He thought he made it to India.
Is that why Indians are called Indians?
It would actually be more respectful to call them Indigenous people.
Yes, he did, but it's not really that funny. This led Columbus to kill hundreds of thousands of people. Before Columbus went to Haiti, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic, there was about 250,000 people there. But after he left, there was only 200 people.
Wow, I never knew any of this. Why wasn't any of this in my lesson books?
Well, Miss Flanny, you see, in 1828, Washington Irving, an Italian writer known for his tall tales, decided to write the one and only biography on Christopher Columbus. He knew a story about a horrible man who killed many people and died thinking he had made it to India wouldn't really sell that well. So he decided he was going to paint Columbus as this amazing explorer going on a dangerous expedition to discover America. So everything you guys know about Columbus was written by a tall tale writer just trying to sell copies. And speaking of Italian people, during the beginning of the 19th century, many Italians were trying to migrate here and to be accepted and not treated like other immigrants coming to America. They showed Americans their book about Columbus and how an Italian discovered America, and the Americans were already looking for her at this point, so they loved the story and they even gave him a holiday.
Why do we even celebrate Columbus Day if it's common knowledge that everything that we're learning in school is a lie?
But I believe that Americans are so interested in keeping their customs that they don't even care that the holiday they're celebrating is ignorant. But I do know that many people want this holiday changed to Indigenous Peoples Day, and I believe that we should be giving them the credit, not Christopher Columbus.
I know, right? It's so boring.
Good job.
Hey, girl,
Well, we get for him attention for being here. Well, today I learned that Christopher Columbus didn't come to America like at all. He never even set foot on American soil. So I didn't learn that in school. I also didn't learn about how when he went to Cuba and the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and when all of the Taino people were there and he asked them about gold and they had no idea what he was talking about, he went back to his country and brought more men back so that he could slaughter them for not knowing what gold was. And so that's just a few things that I didn't learn in school that I learned today.
That he slaughtered a bunch of Taino people because he thought they were lying about not knowing what gold was.
Yes, because he didn't do anything good. He just did really bad stuff.
Yes, because it's basically promoting the fact that a guy who didn't really discover America discovered America.
I think Columbus Day should most definitely be removed because he's not a good man at all. Like what I just said about how he went back to his country to get men to slaughter people just because they didn't know what gold was and they wouldn't give it to him. That's pretty not something that you should celebrate. It's not very fun. I don't think it is anyway.
I don't think it's right because he never actually set foot, and he shouldn't have his own holiday because he didn't do anything good.
I think he's a villain because he slaughtered almost half the population of the natives that lived there.
I feel like he's a villain since he killed all those Native American people for doing nothing when they were the first people to discover the land, yet he wasn't, and he tried to act like he was.
He's not really a villain, but he wasn't a hero either.
Technically, he's a villain. He slaughtered many innocent people for no reason. So, yeah, he's a villain.
Christopher Columbus is definitely a villain because he won. He got mad because he didn't know what gold was. It's just real funny that he just thinks that gold is the most important thing and that he didn't care about the lives of the people that he was killing. Like, he killed families and children and old people and all of the just because they didn't know what gold was. So, and then he went back to his country and acted like he was a great hero for doing all this stuff.
I think people should know that Christopher Columbus was not the first person to discover America, because there were there were other people who did discover before Christopher Columbus, and I also think that Christopher Columbus is someone who shouldn't be honored because he killed very many people. He did very, very mean things to people that had no reason to be killed. They were innocent, they didn't do anything wrong, and I just think that it should be called Indigenous Day because he just isn't that kind of person who deserves to be named after a holiday.
I want them to know that Christopher Columbus wasn't a good man. He took other people's land and acted like he was the one that discovered it.
The school committee should know that they should teach kids about Christopher Columbus, what he did, the bad stuff that he did, and not only the good stuff. Because technically, they're lying to their students.
I think that, like, to honor them, like, in school we could, like, create all this stuff that they used and did for fun, and, like, just use it and show that we care about them.
Well, a lot of family members, well, from my mom's side, they're Native American, and they've come a long way, and I think knowing that they know that Christopher Columbus really didn't discover America, and how that it was their land, not Columbus's land, I think that they need to really call it Indigenous Peoples Day because they deserve something better than to be murdered or just for their gold or their wealth or anything else.
I want the school committee to know that Christopher Columbus isn't a good person and that it shouldn't be being taught that he is. People shouldn't be learning that he is a good person, and then when they have groups such as this, they find out that he was a terrible person who did all of these bad things to people. And I feel like they should also be teaching about the Indigenous people and about their cultures and stuff instead of teaching us about Christopher Columbus.